Somewhere between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico lies a stretch of ocean with one of the most famous reputations on Earth. Ships vanish. Planes disappear. Compasses spin. At least, that is the story. For decades, the Bermuda Triangle has been described as a place where the ordinary rules of the world break down. But when we look closer, the strangest part may not be the ocean itself. It may be how humans turn disaster into legend. The Bermuda Triangle is not an officially recognized geographic region. It is a loose area of the western North Atlantic, often drawn between southern Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. That area is busy. Planes fly over it constantly. Cruise ships cross it. Cargo vessels move through it. It also sits in a part of the Atlantic shaped by strong currents, sudden storms, shallow reefs, and hurricanes. So before we ask why things disappear there, we have to ask a simpler question. Are disappearances actually more common there than in other heavily traveled parts of the ocean? According to NOAA, there is no evidence that mysterious disappearances happen more often in the Bermuda Triangle than in other large, busy areas of ocean. The most famous Bermuda Triangle case began on December 5, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy TBM Avenger torpedo bombers left Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale for a training flight. The mission became known as Flight 19. The planes never returned. Radio messages suggested confusion over position. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, appeared uncertain about where they were. Weather worsened. Daylight faded. Fuel ran low. Then the transmissions stopped. A rescue aircraft, a PBM Mariner, was sent to search for them. It also disappeared. In a single night, 27 men were lost. No wreckage from the Flight 19 aircraft has been definitively recovered. That absence left space for imagination. But the grounded explanation is also tragic. Navigational confusion, deteriorating weather, darkness, fuel exhaustion, and a dangerous ocean. Another famous case is the USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy cargo ship that disappeared in March 1918 with more than 300 people aboard. The Cyclops had been traveling from the Caribbean toward Baltimore. It never arrived. There was no distress call, no confirmed wreck, and no final explanation. Because the ship vanished in the broader region later associated with the Bermuda Triangle, it became part of the legend. But the Cyclops was not a ghost story when it happened. It was a wartime maritime disaster involving a large ship, heavy cargo, possible structural issues, and the limits of early 20th century communication. The mystery remains. But mystery does not automatically mean the supernatural. The Atlantic in this region can erase evidence quickly. The Gulf Stream is a powerful ocean current that can move floating debris far from an accident site. Tropical storms and hurricanes can appear with frightening speed. Shallow banks and reefs can be dangerous to ships, while deep water can swallow wreckage beyond easy recovery. In aviation, small errors become deadly over open water. A compass issue, bad weather, low visibility, or a wrong assumption about location can turn a routine flight into a disaster. And in the decades before GPS, navigation depended on instruments, radio signals, charts, stars, clocks, and judgment. When enough of those failed at once, the ocean did not need a curse. It only needed time. The Bermuda Triangle became a cultural phenomenon in the mid-20th century. Writers and television programs connected separate incidents into one dramatic pattern. Some accounts left out ordinary explanations. Some included cases that happened far outside the triangle. Others repeated details that sounded chilling but were difficult to verify. In 1974, Charles Berlitz's book The Bermuda Triangle helped bring the mystery to a mass audience. The idea was irresistible, a secret zone of the ocean where modern machines simply vanished. But skeptics and investigators pushed back. They argued that many triangle stories were exaggerated, misreported, or missing key context. The legend survived because it offered something facts rarely do, a clean shape for fear. Most serious explanations fall into a few categories. First, weather. This region is vulnerable to fast-changing storms and hurricanes. Second, navigation. Before modern satellite systems, mistakes over featureless water could be fatal. Third, traffic volume. When an area has a lot of ships and aircraft, it will also have accidents. Fourth, storytelling. If people remember the mysterious cases and forget the routine crossings, the region starts to look more dangerous than it is. That does not make the deaths less real. It does not erase the fear of those final moments. But it does suggest that the Bermuda Triangle is less a supernatural trap and more a mirror. It shows us how hard it is to accept uncertainty. The Bermuda Triangle endures because it sits at the edge of knowledge. The ocean is vast. Wreckage is hard to find. Old records are incomplete. Families never got answers. And where evidence ends, imagination begins. Maybe that is why the story still works. It turns the Atlantic into a question mark. It reminds us that even in an age of satellites and tracking systems, the world still contains places where certainty can vanish. The truth may be less paranormal than the legend, but it is no less haunting. The Bermuda Triangle may not be a doorway to another world, but it is a doorway into something equally powerful, our need to explain the unexplained. And sometimes, the deepest mystery is not what the sea takes, it is what we choose to believe after it is gone.